Last week, I went on a little bit of a rant about how Shohei Ohtani's 50-50 season was getting so much attention, and Ronald Acuna Jr.'s 40-70 did not get the same amount of attention. And while we were doing the show live, Ohtani went 6 for 6 with
10 RBIs.
10 RBIs, and he hit 4 home runs. 3 home runs.
3.
Insane. Just insane.
Yeah.
And so I will raise my hand and say Ohtani's season is better. I mean, right now he's sitting at 53 homers, 56 RBIs as we do the show live on a Thursday night. What's up, everyone? It's Onorato and Miller. It's Chris. It's Ash. We'll talk about Ohtani's historic season. We'll talk about Aaron Judge continuing to chase his record-breaking year of 2022 as the Yankees move into the postseason for the first time since 2022. NFL Week 4 picks. Who's got the worst quarterback situation in the NFL? This will be a fun one.
I thought you were going to say, who's got the worst record in all the world?
Oh, no. It's not that bad. We're 3 weeks into this thing. There's a lot of time to make up here. And our guest this week is a guy named Dan Schachner.
He has my dream job.
He is the referee
Dream job.
of the PuppyBowl. That's right. The PuppyBowl on Onorato and Miller.
This is Onorato and Miller, sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Alpenhaus, Marcella's Bevs, Novice Performance Industrial with us each and every single week here on Onorato and Miller. All right, Ash, let's just dive into this topic, which I think is a fun one. When you look at the bad, and there has been some bad quarterback play in the NFL this season. First, we'll shout them out. Carol, it's great to have you with us. Sam, you're with us as well. Sam, by the way, going to the Jets game this weekend. Going to see our guy Aaron Rodgers in person. He is not on this list of worst quarterback situations. What is the worst quarterback situation? Is it one that's on the list? The Giants and Daniel Jones. How much do Giants fans talk about the contract and $40 million? Deshaun Watson, that Browns contract may be the worst all time. Mm-hmm. All the guaranteed money that Cleveland gave Watson and the draft picks traded to Houston in order to get him. What Carolina did to move up to get Bryce Young. Or what the Jaguars just invested this offseason in Trevor Lawrence.
I think Trevor Lawrence will be fine.
Okay.
I think he'll be fine.
Okay. I hope he is. I like Trevor Lawrence,
too.
But
you don't go from, a promising star to like just incapable. He feels like he's incapable of doing anything at the current moment. So a lot of that I think is probably mental.
May I present Deshaun Watson as evidence A?
You may, and this may shock you. He
was a great player in Houston, and now he literally looks like he's never played the position before.
Yeah, I would say the Browns and the Panthers are in the worst situations, only because the Giants can get out from under that contract. So at the end of the day, if they need to move on, they move on. The Browns are stuck, and if they try to get out from under that, they are going to owe so much money. And the Panthers have debilitated their franchise because of everything they've given away to get Bryce Young. So that feels like it has to work, because if not, we talked about this last week, there's not a team around the quarterback in Carolina that's good enough. Although Andy Dalton make them look A-okay last week.
Sure did. And Sam points out the team that lost to Carolina last week, Gardner Minshew. But here's the thing.
He's not on the same level.
The Raiders didn't invest a lot in Gardner Minshew. Think about the money and the draft capital that went into the four guys on your screen. Now, I would agree. The Giants are the fourth. Well, you think the Jags are the fourth worst. I think the Giants are the fourth worst here.
Giants.
Okay.
Browns, Panthers.
I'm going to say the Giants are in the best situation out of all these because they can walk away from Jones this year. Mm-hmm. The Jaguars cannot do that. Right. And I know you say Lawrence can turn around. He's lost 8 straight starts, and he does not look good. They're talking about benching him. Mm-hmm. So the Giants, for me, are the best situation of the 4. Then I'll take the Jaguars because I do believe,
Right, like let's not get crazy yet.
Yep. I don't. For me, the Panthers and the Browns are 1 and 1A
Yeah,
here. I
me
think
too.
Carolina actually is in a better spot than Cleveland because you have your draft pick for this year, and you're awful. So you could just turn the page very quickly from Bryce Young.
Mhm.
You could trade him and get basically nothing, and draft a quarterback again, number 1 overall or top 3, whatever it ends up being for you. You could move on pretty quickly
Mhm.
here from that bad decision to trade up and take Young. And of course, it looks so much worse because CJ Stroud is playing so
Mhm.
well. And similarly, that's the way it's played out 3 games into this year, is that Caleb Williams is struggling and Jaden Daniels looks terrific as the
Mhm.
second overall pick.
And I don't think that experience is done yet. That experiment with Bryce Young, you don't give up on that yet. There's plenty of time. Maybe you let Andy Dalton play for a few games. Bryce Young learns some things. He's a good teammate on the sideline. You give him another crack at it.
Yep.
You're not just giving up on a guy who you've invested so much in and given up so much for. You give it a little more time. You know you're not going to win this year. You're not going to win next year. You're probably not going to win the year after. But you really need to give it enough to figure out, not even is he our guy? Does he have the ability to be our guy? Like, do we see it at all in the distant future that he can be our guy?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not so sure. All right, so let's talk about the Giants and Jones here briefly. Thursday night game, as we do the show live on a Thursday night with the Cowboys coming to town. Dak is 12-1 in his career against the Giants, and Jones is like 1-7, I think, against Dallas, which would make sense. Does this feel like a spot where the Giants, though, can get right again after beating Cleveland? Dallas is a 5.5-point favorite.
I mean, listen, after seeing the Giants look like a capable team last week and seeing the Cowboys just get the floor wiped, like
New Orleans, and then they made it close against Baltimore.
I would say that listen, if you're going to bet the Giants, I would bet them tonight.
Okay. To me, it feels like everybody's just piling on Dallas.
Sure.
And maybe this is the game where Dak shows up and plays well. Adam makes a good point earlier. Sam Darnold, right? Everybody wrote him off, playing really well. And it's coaching, it's situation.
Yeah. And listen, he was in a terrible situation with the Jets. He wasn't in a good situation in Carolina. He was a backup in San Francisco. Now he's on a good team. He's playing quarterback for a good team for the first time in his career. And that's when a quarterback, like, now he's getting a chance. I know people are going to say, well, he's had a chance however many times before, but he really hasn't, because he hasn't been on a good team. Now he's on a good team, and he's proving to people like, yes, I'm a good enough quarterback to be on a good team and lead them to wins.
Yeah. And Adam likes the Giants.
Love it.
Yeah, he's a Cowboys fan.
Woo.
So, yeah. Leon makes the point. You're right. Look, Kevin O'Connell, everybody has said good things about him, but this is him proving like, I'm one of the best coaches in all of football. And people are starting to say that about Matt LaFleur, given what has happened the last 2 weeks with Malik Willis. But Sam Darnold looks like the number 2 overall pick.
Yeah.
From how many years ago? He looks terrific.
It's been a long time, but he made a throw to Justin Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson is obviously a top 3 receiver in the NFL.
Yeah. Yep.
But he made a throw from the end zone to the other like 45, and it was a rope. And I thought, oh my God, there aren't a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL who can make that throw, number 1, but make it look easy, number 2.
Yep. You're right. All right. We had this kind of in the plans for last week. We were guest loaded. It was all good. And now there are far fewer winless teams, I should say. I think we had 6 winless teams win last week. So this was a big number at 0-2 in terms of the number of winless teams. There are only 3 now in all football: Cincinnati, Jacksonville, and Tennessee. This is an obvious one. Best chance to reach the playoffs. Or is Cincinnati in too difficult of a division to just make the postseason?
It's funny because I think I made that argument like it's the most interesting division.
Yeah,
because it's kind of confusing as to who's going to be what. I think they're in the best position because if the Steelers are your biggest threat in that division, you're probably going to be okay. The Ravens, I get it, but the Ravens have had their struggles and they feel like they still need to figure a lot out. So I think for me, it's the Bengals, and that's an easy one. There's nothing wrong with Joe Burrow. Their 3 losses are by a combined 12 points. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. And it was, the Pats by 6, but they gave the Chiefs a game.
Yep.
Like,
and Higgins didn't play the first couple of games. Jamar missed all the offseason program. It feels like it will get better, but they don't have Joe Mixon, and you worry about the offensive line, and the defense has not looked good.
Nope. They just lost Trent Brown for the season. I think the one thing though, like when you talk about that Commanders game, they lost. Yes. They basically did everything right aside from their defense. I mean, they didn't punt the ball and they didn't turn the ball over, and somehow they still lost because Jaden Daniels did the same thing. Didn't punt the ball, didn't turn the ball over, and was just a little bit better.
Yeah. Jaden Daniels looks special.
Rookie of the year pick for you?
Yeah, he was.
Looking pretty good.
3-0 team you aren't buying. Is there a team on the list you're not buying?
I mean, if
as a playoff team, is there a team on this list you'd say, well, you have to give me one. So give me one you say is just not going to make the playoffs despite the 3-0 start.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hard one. I'd say Seahawks only because you've got the Niners in your division. You've got the Rams, which that's obviously no guarantee. But it's Geno Smith. And I think he's got 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It's not like he's lighting the world on fire. DK Metcalf, yes, their rushing game has been really good. But for me, it's the Seahawks only because there's not a better option. The Steelers defense is just so good that I think they're going to keep them in most games. The Bills have looked unbelievable at times this year.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are the Chiefs until they're not. And for me, Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson have looked way too good for me to doubt them right at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Sam's on the Steelers as the team he's not believing in.
And I get that.
Yeah, me too.
I get that. But their defense is so good.
It is. I don't know. In today's NFL, can you win just leaning on your defense the way they are?
Well, the first 3 weeks, the games have been as low scoring as any I can remember in a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, look, if TJ Watt were to go down and he has struggled to stay healthy at times in his career, it's asking a lot of that defense to be the reason they continue to win games. Okay, I don't know.
Did you pick one?
Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And look, I'm not a big believer in Minnesota for this to be real for the entirety of a season. I like the Seahawks, I think, more than you do right now, but the Bills and Chiefs are obviously the top 2 teams in the NFL, right? I mean, Buffalo looks like world beaters.
But they do this sometimes.
I picked them to not even make the playoffs.
Crazier things have happened.
So that's how that goes. All right, let's take a break here on Onorato and Miller. We've got the Performance Industrial Dirty Difficult done. Still to come, we'll look at the college football slate, what Arch Manning did last week. There is no quarterback controversy in Austin. They can win games with Arch, but he's not the guy as long as Quinn Ewers is healthy. We'll get into that. And, of course, Shohei Ohtani's incredible season with the baseball playoff push. The final weekend of the season is here. We're back right after this.
September is here, which means it's time to take advantage of huge savings on remaining 2023 RVs. It's our September sell-off here at Alpenhaus. Shop with confidence so you can get back to having fun and making memories with family and friends. Come in today and save on America's top brands, like this Coachman Catalina for $162 a month, or this Primetime Avenger for $258 a month. Shop online at alpenhausrv.com or come see us in Amsterdam or Saratoga. Alpenhaus, your total camping outfitter.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Back on Onorato and Miller. All right, Ash, let's get into what we do at the end of every month.
It's time for the MVP of the month, sponsored by Marcella's Appliance Center.
Our guy Johnny Marcella, Nick Matalone, and Ash, this was your pick here. You said, how do we not show this guy some love? It's hard to disagree.
Well,
interesting to make the manager MVP of the month.
It's okay.
But the Mets have the
MVP
best record since early June, and they've got one of the best records since the All-Star break. And obviously, in the month of September, they haven't let up.
Yeah, and he may end up being manager of the year. So I just figured
no
before
doubt.
the Mets go and do something stupid, like not make the playoffs or exit early, we do it now, because then it's not going to make sense to do it when they disappoint their fans and all of us here. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, listen, 87 and 70, they've gone on these crazy streaks that they have no business doing it. And we've talked about it. Of all of the teams, they feel less talented than most. And this manager has finally, other than Buck, who was able to do some with what he had, but got fired. Or did they mutually agree to part ways? I think that was a mutually agree to part ways, though. But yeah, I think it's just very surprising. And the way that the season started for the Mets, we're talking about fire sailing Pete Alonso, selling everything you've got, keeping the only person you keep is Lindor, and it's completely turned around. And yes, you have a chance to get to the playoffs, which is all you can ask for in the final 5 games of the regular season.
Yeah. So, again, doing the show live on a Thursday, the Mets will play a weekend series in Milwaukee and then potentially a doubleheader in Atlanta on Monday, which is a weird setup. And they have a 1-game lead over the Braves for the wild card right now, tied with Arizona. So it sure looks like they should make the playoffs. I think if at this point, if they don't make the playoffs, I think Mets fans would be very disappointed. They're not going to look at it and say, hey, we overachieved. That was a good year.
Once you get to this point, it's like, okay, well, now
and
you're
played
on
so
board.
well. You can't now lose 3 of the final 5. That would obviously really hurt their chances. But I'm with you. Mendoza will be manager of the year. It feels like every major baseball award is already settled. Like there should be no surprises. I mean, I got to rattle them quickly here that Ohtani and Judge are going to win the MVPs. Skubal and Sale will win the Cy Youngs.
Quatrero.
Mendoza and Quatrero win managers of the year. Now, the MVPs will be unanimous. Otherwise, you've got some idiotic voters out there just trying to make a name for themselves. The Cy Youngs could go unanimous as well. And then the managers of the year, obviously, they won't be unanimous, but they feel like slam dunks here. Mendoza should be manager of the year with what he's done with the Mets.
And the Royals have cooled off.
No doubt about it.
A bit.
They have, and they're kind of going to fight their way into the playoffs here. Again, tied for a wild card spot. 3 teams with 2 spots available in the American League. So last week, I went off on all the attention Ohtani's getting for 50-50. And during that show, he went 6 for 6, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, and 2 or 3 stolen bases. And I just kind of went, okay.
He heard you and was like, shut your mouth.
Point taken. It was arguably the greatest single game in Major League Baseball history. And this is one of the most impressive things anybody's done in a single.
I have a question. Is that 56 steals? Because you said 56 RBIs earlier and I didn't correct you. So in the beginning of the show, I thought, I think he said RBI, but men steals. Could you imagine
if he only had 56 RBI? That would really be something.
Well, and I did think 53 home runs and 56 RBI. He's hit only solo home runs for almost the entirety of his.
Yeah, he does hit leadoff.
That's true.
Yeah. So, okay. When he was at 50-50, we kind of thought, where's he going to finish
Right,
here?
where's he going to end up?
And 55-55 obviously is a real possibility.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Now, if he pitches next year, he won't steal as much.
Right.
I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Here's something I found interesting here, too. He will be a unanimous MVP, and Lindor probably finishes second in the NL. It would be his 3rd unanimous MVP. No player has done it more than once.
It's amazing.
Other than Ohtani.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah.
We had unanimous MVPs last year. It was Ohtani and Acuna, and Shohei's going to do it again. Is this guy, I mean, 55-55 obviously is a real possibility. Yeah. So, okay, when he was at 50-50, we kind of thought, where's he going to finish here? And I think he said RBI, but men steals.
Yeah.
And Shohei's going to do it again. Is this guy I'm stealing here. Is this guy the greatest living baseball player? Willie Mays just recently passed. Hank Aaron no longer with us. Is he the greatest living baseball player?
Probably. I mean, what do we always say? He's a unicorn. What he's doing, Babe Ruth didn't do. So he's the only person to ever do what he's doing for many, many, many reasons. Yeah. But yeah, he's a unicorn. He might be, even now, the greatest baseball player of all time. And we're so far away from done with his career. Knock on wood, I would hope. We should have many more years to see this guy do what he does. And maybe he won't end up pitching for, more than 5 years or whatever it ends up. And you got to see how he comes back from Tommy John. But even if he just pitches for a few seasons and just hits for the rest of his career, his numbers are going to be outrageous.
Yeah. I know it almost seems like I get it. We're getting, a little too ridiculous to say he's the greatest player ever, but you're right.
He will end up being the greatest player ever.
He'll be the greatest player of our lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to see anybody like this again. Teams, I just don't think are going to invest a lot of money and allow a player to pitch and hit the way the Angels and now Dodgers will with Ohtani. We're just never going to see anything like it again.
Unless someone comes around like him again. And I don't imagine, I don't know. If it is, it's
been a century since we saw it with Babe Ruth.
Yeah, and it's just especially not an American-born player because they don't allow it at the collegiate level. So unless you are going to take a high school kid and allow him to continue pitching and hitting, but they just don't do it. They don't do it anymore. Even if that kid went to the minors, they're not allowing an American kid to continue to throw and hit. There's no point in that player hitting unless they're the best hitter you've ever seen. Then, okay, fine. I guess you let him do it.
All right. So Adam's going to raise the bar a little bit here in order to call him the greatest player ever. He wants to see Cy Young MVP and Triple Crown in one season or just overall because he can do those first two separately, perhaps, and not. And Adam makes a good point here too, right? The MVPs are locked up. The runners up locked up as well for those two awards in the AL and the NL. Here's the weird situation happening with
this is so
what
bizarre.
Could be the Monday after the regular season ends. So Hurricane Helene comes through. And the Mets and Braves postponed the final two games of their series this week. They're supposed to play Wednesday night and Thursday night. Postponed both games. Now, Mets fans are up in arms because you had a mutual off day this past Monday, and baseball didn't move up the series. Okay, there's one missed opportunity. Then they look at the forecast, and you could have moved Wednesday's game up. You've already played Tuesday night. You could have played Wednesday's game early enough to get that in before weather rolls into Atlanta. They didn't do that. So there's strike two in Mets fans' minds in a lot of ways. And now the thought is we might have to go from Atlanta to Milwaukee to Atlanta to Milwaukee or to San Diego.
Right. Not ideal.
Now, I have just, maybe it's my old age here. I've gotten away from the blame
Feel
game.
bad for yourself type stuff.
Correct. Like,
what was me?
Go play the games you have to play. Go win the games you have to play. And for the idea of, well, we can't have our rotation set up for the playoffs. You now have 2 days off that you weren't expecting, and you had Monday. So the bullpen should be as fresh as any. And if you want to make life easy on yourself, go win the games in Milwaukee, and then don't even send your stars to Atlanta for this doubleheader. Lock up your postseason spot this weekend in Milwaukee, which you can do. And then you don't have to worry about your game 1-2 starter going to Atlanta. Send them to San Diego or keep them in Milwaukee, wherever you're going to be next. So there are ways around, the pity party of perhaps playing a doubleheader on Monday. As a Braves fan, who cares? Let's go. Right? I mean,
sure.
They're not very good. They haven't been very good all year. If you find yourself playing on Monday with a chance to get in, you should consider yourselves lucky.
Yep.
So
no doubt. But I mean, we talked about this before the show started. You could end up in a situation where you don't even have to play those final games, which I know you don't want to think about, but
yeah, very possible.
I can't remember the last time that happened. Like, you don't have to play 162, which is kind of amazing to me.
Yeah, so I looked it up. There were, obviously, it's always going to be more than one team. There were 2 teams in 2018, 2 teams in 2019 that didn't play the full 162. They played 161 because there was a rain out somewhere that just then wasn't of consequence for the playoffs and the standings, right? So
Sam's mad at us.
Yeah,
I get it, Sam.
Look, there are a lot of names we could throw out there, right?
But they're not doing what he's doing.
Correct.
Didn't do what he is doing. And I didn't. He's going to end up being the greatest player ever. I'm obviously not going to say, 7 years into his MLB career, whatever it is, that he's the greatest player of all time. But he's pretty darn close.
Yeah.
And he's got a long way to go.
Right. He stays healthy. It's much more likely than not that he will be viewed as the greatest player of all time. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Mets manager Mendoza gets our MVP of the month for Marcellus. We're back in a minute here on Onorato and Miller. We're going to look back at what Arch Manning did in his first career start and how the SEC continues to dominate next.
The great thing about novices, no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable. This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
September is here, and so are hundreds of brand new RVs. So to make room, we have great deals on all remaining 2024s in stock. Take advantage of our September sell-off by getting an amazing price on a new RV before they're gone, and start making amazing memories today. Check out this Coachman Catalina for only $134 a month, and this Keystone Cougar Sport for only $369 a month. Save now and start planning for your family's next adventure today during our September sell-off sales event. Alpenhaus, your total camping outfitter for 60 years.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Our week 4 picks for the NFL still to come here. We're doing okay.
No.
We're doing okay.
No. You're doing okay.
500 is technically okay, right?
Right. You're doing okay.
So
we're doing
okay.
Very poorly.
Arch Manning, you had a triple D last week that declared Quinn Ewers' career at Texas done.
I think I sort of said if he came out and was gangbusters, then the experiment, that's not gangbusters.
It's not.
That's not proving that you're better than Quinn Ewers.
Bad team, Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah. I mean, the 15 for 29 is
Austin.
Less than impressive.
Yep.
2 picks.
Yep. Didn't complete it well. And what surprised me when I looked back at the box score, he didn't run one carry, -4 yards. So
he probably said, don't hurt yourself. This is Louisiana Monroe.
That could very well be. Sit in the pocket and just make throws. And, look, all things, what we know is this, the kid can play. And Texas can win a lot of games if they have to start Arch Manning. But it also proves Quinn Ewers the guy.
Yeah, he'll be the guy. I don't know that he'll be the guy this weekend, depending on how his injury is.
And the good news is Mississippi State comes to town for Texas's SEC debut, and Mississippi State stinks. So, you can win that game with either Arch or Quinn Ewers. And I'm with you. I think the smart thing would be to keep Quinn on the sideline.
Yeah, I think
he's your best chance at winning a national championship.
Right. And if you think that's the case and you don't think you need him this weekend, then you play Arch. Listen, you don't want to get Arch hurt or whatever, but in a game that you don't necessarily think is going to matter all that much, I mean, it matters. You're not going to be challenged all that much.
There you go. Speaking of the SEC, half of college football's top 10 is from the SEC, and it helps certainly now that you have a team like Texas in there, but the OGs, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and Ole Miss are in there as well. So what has changed in college football? Not much.
Not a lot.
We're going to put 12 teams in the college football playoff. How many of them will be from the SEC?
Just the name of where Texas comes from. Their conference. Different conference. And Texas is a relative newcomer. I mean, they struggled for a good decade post Vince Young.
Right. Yeah. After Vince Young and Mac Brown were gone. Yes.
Same with Tennessee. They're a relative, 3 of these 5 teams are to the top 5 discussion are relative newcomers to that.
And will they do enough damage beating themselves up that we don't see these 5 in the top 12 at the end of the year? Maybe. I mean, one of these teams is going to win the SEC championship game. And then can the other 4 hang in the top 12 rankings?
Right.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe you get
It's
4
tough
SEC,
when you
4 Big Ten.
Yeah.
Big win by Michigan last weekend,
Woo!
huh? That was, yeah. Sam says it. Going to beat each other up a little bit.
Yeah, and
but you can get a 2-loss SEC team.
My guess is
making the playoff.
that people are going to expect some of that. When you have all of the best teams, some of those best teams are going to lose to the rest of the best teams. So I think people are expecting that, and that's why you'll get a little more leniency and leeway if you're an SEC team and you've got 2 losses. They're not going to give anybody else, not going to give many other teams in any other conferences 2 losses and get in.
This could be our friend. I know it isn't, but it's funny here. Just the random Go Bill shout out here. Our buddy Jeff Uklick of Saratoga Eagle and
it's
Bevs.
Brian.
I know.
I love Brian.
Did we know Brian was a Bills fan?
I didn't.
Me neither. I had no idea.
You learn something new every day.
Okay.
Go Bills.
Yeah. I mean, again, I have admitted I did not pick the Bills to make the playoffs.
I did.
They are clearly the best team in the AFC
I picked them to win the
East.
division.
Yeah, definitely. And they might be the best team in the AFC right now. And what's funny is, as you and I have picked against Buffalo
It
with
never
or
works
against
out
the
for me.
spread,
I can't.
you've been right some weeks. I've been. I think the person who picks against them so far, it's only 3 weeks in, but I think the person who has picked against the Bills has been wrong each week.
I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, maybe I
don't
Arizona
even remember.
week 1.
We're in another pool where we're picking teams. I get so confused by the end of the weekend. I'm like, I don't even remember who I picked. Forget it.
Yeah, we'll make our week 4 picks.
I'm going to have to
in
start
a little bit.
Men in Black,
Ooh.
memory lossing myself so I can forget how terrible I am and not lose my confidence.
Nah, don't be like that. All right, let's boost your confidence here. Well, we're going to talk about dogs coming up.
Woo!
Dan Schachner, he is the referee for the PuppyBowl. Next on Onorato and Miller.
September is here, and so are hundreds of brand new RVs. So to make room, we have great deals on all remaining 2024s in stock. Take advantage of our September sell-off by getting an amazing price on a new RV before they're gone, and start making amazing memories today. Check out this Coachman Catalina for only $134 a month, and this Keystone Cougar Sport for only $369 a month. Save now and start planning for your family's next adventure today during our September sell-off sales event. Alpenhaus, your total camping outfitter for 60 years.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Ash, what do you say you always love more than humans?
Dogs.
Yeah, and it's
Always.
not even close.
No, it's not really that close.
Yeah. Well, at News Channel 13 all September long, we've been doing Clear the Shelters, adoptable pets of the day, and supporting local shelters and getting animals adopted and all that good stuff. But October is Adopt a Shelter Dog Month. And so who better to talk to than a dog expert and a referee of the PuppyBowl?
That's like my dream.
Right.
It's literally I would pay a lot of money to be part of the PuppyBowl.
The problem is you wouldn't call any penalties, that you would it would be a free-for-all.
Yeah, it's a free-for-all anyway.
Let's bring Dan Schachner onto the show here, Onorato and Miller in Albany. Dan, thanks for doing the show with us. How are you, man?
Good morning, guys. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about the PuppyBowl here, Dan, and then we'll talk about the emphasis of getting these shelter dogs adopted. How do you officiate a bunch of dogs?
Yeah, it's not easy. And so, Ashley, like if you really want to come help, I could use all the help I need. Trust me.
I'm free labor.
Great.
Careful.
Great. You're in. We have over 100 dogs every single year from rescues all across the country. And it's hard to keep order, no question about it. But you have to pick your battles. You can't throw a flag down every time there's an illegal tinkle on the 5-yard line. You gotta be strategic and say, all right, that's your 5th tinkle of the first quarter. Now I'm going to throw the flag. So pick your battles and make sure to call the field goals, because dogs can kick balls, and we have more field goals, almost as many field goals as we have touchdowns every single year. So keep your eyes peeled. That's the key.
So good.
Dan, 6.3 million dogs and cats. Well, don't forget about the cats. We're pro cats as well. End up in shelters every single year. I think the number is like, if you add all of them together, 37 plus 5, I think was the number that we got. 42 have been fostered by you personally. What is it? And how do you have chaos at your home at all times? Like, what's the greatest number of pets you've had running around at once?
Right. The most I've ever had is 2. It's
Okay.
It's not ever all at once.
Yeah.
I get my fill of multiple dogs when I do Puppy Bowl. When we've got 100 dogs, literally. At home, it's a little more calm. It's only 2. But it's been great. Fostering is just a great way. If you're not sure, look, you guys talked about Clear the Shelters. Now we're coming up on Adopt a Shelter Dog Month, October. It was created in 1981 by the American Humane Society to deal with the overpopulation problem, as you guys well know about. But if you're not sure about adopting to anybody out there, fostering, which I've done for 10 years, is an amazing option. You know, you can bring a dog in your home. You're still saving a life in that shelter. You're still helping that local shelter. And you're getting to know yourself and the dog and how you are as a pet parent. So it gives you a very informed decision when you finally do decide to adopt, which we did a year ago on Adopt a Shelter Dog Month.
So I would say to you, Dan, and let's give a full look at the kitchen here and the setup here, Nature's Recipe and Nutrish. For somebody who says, okay, yeah, great, I could foster a pet, but then I'm going to become too attached. Is that a problem? That's a good problem, right?
You will get attached. Even the quote unquote difficult fosters that we've had, you know, some have come from some have special needs or had difficult backgrounds. Even them we miss. But that's tempered because the joy that you have when they finally get adopted, and they all do get adopted after a fostering, that joy, you know, supersedes everything else. So yes, you will get attached, but you'll also be incredibly happy when you see their new life.
Yeah, I love that.
Dan, it doesn't end. I know, listen, everyone wants like the cutest puppies, and puppies are a big sell at all shelters. And to be honest, at least locally, there aren't generally a lot of puppies. It's older dogs. It's dogs who have, you know, come from, I know some dogs get shipped up from the South, but it doesn't end there. Like, you can't just take the cute puppy home and all is well and good. What is the most important thing, some of the most important factors to take into consideration when you're trying to choose a dog or a pet that fits your family?
The key thing is to know yourself and your lifestyle. Are you a busy person? Do you work from home? Do you work in an office? Are you in an apartment? Are you in a house? Do you have a ton of land? Look at your lifestyle and know what you can give to this dog first in terms of energy, in terms of time. Once that's determined, then you can say, all right, maybe a senior dog or an adult dog that's more chill and is already housebroken is right for me. Or maybe I've got the energy for the temperament of a puppy and I'm ready to do it. And I've got all hands on deck and my whole family's involved. Once you've got that determined, then you can start zeroing in. And then look, connect with that local shelter, because whether you're talking about Clear the Shelters or Adopt a Shelter Dog Month in October, it's all about, we say shop local. Well, in this case, rescue local. Go to your local shelter. They've probably got a social media feed. See what's up for adoption. There's probably adoption events, which there will be in October. In some cases for this month, they will waive or lower adoption fees. So there's lots of benefits there. Do a meet and greet. Foster if you're not sure. And remember, if you can't do all these things, you can donate, you can volunteer, you can advocate by promoting on social media. There's always something that we can do to help.
Have you found the Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes of dogs throughout your 14 years as the Puppy Bowl ref?
Well, his name is Patrick Mabones. And yes, we found him 2 years ago. He was part of Puppy Bowl. And Tom Barkey was also there a couple of years back during the whole Deflategate scandal. The dogs also were deflating balls as well. Not by their own fault. They were just chewing on them too hard. But yes, we've had our fill of every counterpart exists for an big NFL star. We've got him at Puppy Bowl every single year.
Dan Schachner, courtesy of Nature's Recipe and Nutrish. Ash, you want to try to put in one more plug here to be a linesman or the back judge? Or
listen, he's already given me the job. I don't think I need another plug, but I know the rules of football. I'll have to learn a little bit of the rules of Puppy Bowl. But we joke, our neighborhood, I know people not by their names, by their dogs' names. When we walk out, I'm like, oh, hey, Lucy. Oh, hey, Daisy. And that's the only way I know people. I don't know them by their actual names, just their dog names.
Absolutely, man. That's the same. I'm the same way. People should have name tags, you know, and the dogs, I've already learned their names, but everyone else should have it.
Dan, thank you so much for the time.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bev's, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just gonna have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always gonna get the same experience when you shop at Bev's. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're gonna see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Shout out to those local business partners with us each and every single week. Alpenhaus, Marcella's, Bev's, Novice Performance Industrial. I know you love that segment with Dan. What's the bet? We joke like Patrick McBones, Tom Barkey, but I was thinking as we were listening to Dan there, what current player has the best dog puppy bowl name? I can only come up with one. It's Saquon Barkley.
Oh, you mean if he was
an actual name?
Yeah. Like Nick Chubb has kind of a fun name because it's at least like if he were like a chubby little dog, you could I don't know. You can't just spring that on me and expect me to come up with good answers here.
Well, that's why we have people on social media. I'm sure they're coming up with some. Jeff, Casey, it's great to see you, buddy. And Brian says, diehard Bills fan. Yeah. Carol wants to know, why haven't you done the puppy thing yet?
Oh, haven't we done the puppy thing yet?
As in the puppy bowl or gotten a dog?
Why haven't we gotten a dog?
Oh, well, there's plenty of good reasons for that, right? Much as we love them.
It's my dream job. For sure.
Yeah.
And I told you, I forgot that it's in Glens Falls, New York. So when I told Dan Schachner that I would be free labor, I can drive 20 minutes north.
Right.
And on Super Bowl Sunday in the morning, it's probably recorded, go whatever day it's recorded and go hang out with the puppies.
Yeah. I think you should do that.
I don't even need to be on the field. I will keep track of all of the things going on off the field. I'll clean up the pee, the poop, whatever. I don't care. That would be so much fun for me.
I think you should do that.
I would lay on the ground and let them crawl all over me.
Okay. Well, let's figure it out.
My dream.
If anybody has better name suggestions for a puppy bowl actual player than Saquon Barkley,
somebody's got to have like a nickname who goes by a nickname that's like, Gruff something.
Well, Fred McGriff was the crime dog.
I know that's
a football player
name.
with. Okay,
why you have to do that to me?
We got the week 4 picks coming up here. Here's how we're doing. So
I'm gonna get fired.
Hanging at 500. Ash had a tough week. You were right around 500 as well. Obviously, before last week, 1-5 is a little bit of a struggle.
1-5 hurts.
Here we go. Broncos and Jets. Full touchdown. The vibe, the belief is big right now for the Jets, and we both like them to beat Denver by a touchdown.
And when the vibe and the belief is there, MetLife Stadium is a hard place to play. Like when Jets fans believe in their team, even when they don't, they're actually kind of loud. Like Fireman Ed gets everybody going. But that opener at MetLife with Rodgers, I thought this feels like a team that fans are pumped up about. They're super excited. Every time Rodgers made a throw, it was like, the end of the world because it was so exciting. So I think MetLife really becomes a hard place to play when there's belief by fans.
I thought he looked good in San Francisco in the opener. They just barely beat Tennessee. But then, and then look, you beat Jacoby Brissett and the New England Patriots, who we believe are a bad football team. So what is 2-1 really? I don't know. And how good is Denver? Not really.
But it's not 0-3.
So this should be a win. And I think
it's not 0-3.
A touchdown's more than reasonable with the defense, despite the injuries that they've had here. That they can run the ball well. Rodgers can still sling it. This is a good team. They're a playoff team. Vikings and Packers.
Sorry.
We don't know, right? And this
We don't know about Jordan Love.
Right. We got a couple of them, Love and Herbert, this week on our slate. We don't know. And so I don't feel great about taking Green Bay as a favorite here. That Minnesota defense has been insane.
Mm-hmm.
So do you trust Malik Willis against a really good defense? Maybe not. But then do you trust and not so 100% Jordan Love against what has been a really good defense so far? Either way, I'll take Green Bay here at home.
Would you rather have a healthy Malik?
You play Willis. Play. I wouldn't even.
I mean, I know this game means a lot, but
it doesn't yet. I know
it's a division
game and
it's
tie
two good
break
teams
and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's two good teams. I think it means more for fans to kind of know, like this will tell you: are the Vikings?
Yeah.
Are they going to continue to what I would say is overachieve at the moment? But if they beat Malik Willis, I'm not sure that that's like, oh yeah, they're so great. But I still think if Jordan Love were to play, that tells you a little bit more about how equal the teams actually are. But if he's not healthy,
yeah, I wouldn't. Even if he said, "I'm good to go, coach, I'm ready," let's.
You're gonna play cautious.
Take another week.
Yeah, well, I'll take
another week.
The firestorm that is Justin Jefferson and Sam Darnold, because up until now I've been off the bandwagon, so now I'm getting on it.
Yeah,
which means it'll crash.
Green Bay's defense has been good, but Darnold and Jefferson are playing at another level right now, and O'Connell will have them ready for sure. But just a quick little aside here: the bounce back of Brian Flores. Now, this guy is going to get a head coaching job next year.
Maybe.
The way this defense is playing, I think a lot of people in the league felt like he got a raw deal in Miami, even though he may not have handled the situation all that well. Can you hire a guy who's still suing the league? I don't know. But he's going to get another head coaching position with what he's done here in Minnesota.
Or he just...
I know, but that doesn't happen. These guys
you're in a good spot. Just hang out, stay there, achieve. I get it, though. You get offered a head coaching job, you go. That's how that works.
Yeah, right. It should. Sam says got to drop the lawsuit to get the job. Yeah, he's probably right. Philadelphia and Tampa. Two teams that are 2-1.
The Bucs finally looked bad last week.
Everybody still has questions about here. I thought Philly would win the NFC East. I still believe that will happen, and so I think this is a game they can go win at Tampa. You said right. The Bucs did not look all that good last week,
and the 2.5 number for me is small enough. Win by a field goal, fine. I'm on the Eagles.
Home dog? No home dog here, right?
No, that's
I know.
Visiting favorite.
Right, but we just say a lot of times you get a home dog situation, you take them. And we're not taking them here either. Again, don't know about Herbert.
Correct.
Limited at practice on Wednesday. My guess is
the 7.5 is where things start to get dicey, though. Over a touchdown, when we get into big spreads, that's where my knowledge doesn't feel so good. Big spreads are tough. And 7.5 isn't that much, but it is.
And the Chiefs aren't blowing people out.
Nope. Playing very close games.
But without Herbert, I just don't think
without Herbert, this should be a no contest.
They're going to move the ball
Should be a no contest. But even with an injured Herbert, I still think
close.
Yeah. And nope.
Okay. All right. Brian's making the point here. Yeah. Philly's banged up. It doesn't matter enough for me. Saquon Barkley looks like he
looks awesome.
Reborn in some ways. And maybe
you knew that was going to happen.
Maybe it was there all along. As long as he's healthy. The Giants didn't have the offensive line to really kind of support him. But yeah, the Eagles offense looks different without Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. There's no doubt about that. But I still think they can win by a field goal, like you said. Okay, here we go.
Go Bills.
Bills and Ravens, Sunday night on News Channel 13. This is a weird number because the Ravens are 1-2.
And they're
they
favored.
Just barely hung on at Dallas last week.
That's why this was easy for me.
And the Bills are 3-0, and they look like maybe the best team in all of football.
This felt like bait.
So
someone is baiting me into something here.
What do the people in Vegas know? I'm going to believe that Baltimore is better than the 1-2 record.
And I think they are too.
And that this is maybe a spot where Buffalo just kind of stubs its toe.
Okay.
And give me the Ravens at home on a Sunday night.
I will take the Bills.
Yeah.
They looked so good last week.
What surprises you more, the Bills' offense, given that they've lost
Stephon Diggs
and Gabe Davis, or the Bills' defense, given that they lost Matt Milano and guys like Tre'Davious White aren't there anymore, and Poyer, and the defense looks different?
I think probably the Bills' defense. I just don't know that I would have expected quite the numbers that Josh Allen is pumping out. But I think the biggest, they run the ball so well. Cook has been so good. And I think that just opens everything up. It takes so much of the pressure off of Josh Allen to be this superhuman guy.
Yep.
You run the ball well, it opens everything up. So I'm more surprised by their defense. The Bills are the Bills. And I think with Brady calling the plays, not Tom Brady.
I was going to say, people are going to think Tom Brady's.
No, not Tom Brady.
Joe, yep.
With Joe Brady calling the plays, I think once that started to click, you were going to see this. And if that's any indication like what we saw last week, look out. Yeah,
we saw it last year with Brady committed to running the football, and Cook has been kind of a revelation. And I'm with you. The defense is more of a bright spot for me than the offense, because you still have Josh Allen. And beginning of the year, or even this summer, we had a conversation here on the show after Patrick Mahomes, who are you taking to start a franchise or to win a game, whatever it was? And I remember then we kicked around the idea, is it Josh Allen or is it Joe Burrow? Those were the two names, and it's clearly Josh Allen. And I think we both said at the time, give me Josh Allen. He's playing at another level right now. All right, we both like the Jets. I'm on Green Bay. You've got Minnesota. We both like Philadelphia, both like Kansas City. And then we're split between Baltimore and Buffalo. Okay. We were quite different last week, it felt.
Yeah, we only had 2, and we picked 6 games. So we had 2 the same. You won. We both lost those. And then the 4 different, you won 3 of 4. I think I lost 3 of 4.
Final time out here on Onorato and Miller. When we come back, Performance Industrial, Dirty, Difficult, Done. And Caitlin Clark's WNBA rookie season is over. What's our lasting impression of it? We're back in a minute.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bevs, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bevs. At the end of the day, if you walk in your stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
All right. Performance Industrials, Dirty, Difficult, Done coming up here. But Ash, let's focus quickly here on what Caitlin Clark did in her rookie season for the WNBA. The Indiana Fever knocked out of the playoffs.
Yep.
And we're down to the semifinals. Aces and Liberty, Sun, and Lynx. Lasting impression, though, of the rookie season. She broke the record for most assists in a single season, and then she broke the record for most points and most 3-pointers made by a rookie. The assists is an overall record.
An everyone record.
And the points and 3-pointers are a rookie record. But what will you remember most when you think about Caitlin Clark, the rookie?
I think I'll still remember the controversy, like how controversial her existence in this league was. And yet she still, I think, achieved to the level, if not beyond, what people would have expected of a number 1 overall pick. Like, yes, she was the number 1 overall pick. You would expect that person to be the most assists in a single season all time ever, counting every player that's ever played in the WNBA. Like,
and it's being played at a higher level now. You have the points record being broken as well. So you see the skill level increasing. You see the pace of play increasing, more points, which lead to more assists, more shots, lead to more rebound, all of that. I think it's interesting to say the controversy, right? Some of the dirty play, some of the fouls, some of the
commentators who knocked her and it just like she couldn't. And it was a little bit like it in college. She couldn't win. It was like no matter what she did, she couldn't win. Guess what? Great rookie season. Yeah. I don't know that she could have done any better. And oh, by the way, the Fever went to the playoffs and they were a much improved team. And it didn't look like that right out of the gate, but that team got better and better and better with her on it.
I'll remember her living up to the billing of a number 1 overall pick. But for me, it's the seismic shift in popularity.
Yeah.
It's the attendance records, playing in bigger arenas because you needed more seats. It's the private chartered flights because of what Caitlin Clark's, the TV ratings. That for me is like the effect, the impact that a rookie had on this league, I think is what I will remember. And I will be curious to see if it really continues, to increase in popularity, even if it levels off a little bit after this year. Do people come back next year because what they saw with Caitlin Clark was impressive enough? I don't know. We'll see. But it was a fun and it was a successful rookie year.
It'll stay for a bit.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
Bill Miller and his crew at Performance Industrial. There's never a job that's too dirty or too difficult for them to get it done.
This one is not hard, and it won't take me long to say, but if you didn't see this, you should look it up. Monday night in Buffalo. In Buffalo against the Jags. We've talked about Trevor Lawrence's struggles, but you throw an interception to a guy, and I looked at the number, and I thought, oh my God, I think that's Damar Hamlin. And then the announcers start getting all fired up about it. Yeah. Damar Hamlin comes up with his first career interception. The place goes crazy. He's running around. You can tell he's emotional. Just to see, this is what makes sports so great. To see that moment play out live on television after they were literally pumping his chest.
On a Monday night.
On the football field in Cincinnati. Yep. And, 2 years later, almost at this point, this is where he is. Amazing.
Pretty special.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was a great moment in the crowd as fans recognized that's number 3 down there with the ball. Oh my goodness. The great career of Diana Taurasi, speaking of the WNBA, is likely done. She's 42 years old.
Amazing that she was still playing at that age.
There's nothing she hasn't done. I was reminded by looking back at the fact that she won 3 national championships at UConn. She won 2 most outstanding player awards. And what really jumped out to me was UConn lost her freshman year in the NCAA tournament to Notre Dame. I think it was a Final Four game. She said after that game, we will not lose another NCAA tournament game during my time here at UConn. And guess what?
They
did not lose another
awesome.
NCAA tournament game during her time at UConn. Pretty special. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody, on Onorato and Miller. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.